All right. Good afternoon, October 7th, 2022. That is the date. And you can see we just had a big sell off today. My guess is it's probably a spike in channel, and I just didn't even. Let's see. So some people probably played it this way, but you can see it doesn't line up too well, but there is a little bit of validity to that midline. But I just played the short-term channels, excuse me. So let's take a look at this chart. I don't want to waste time. 5 o'clock comes in right before this news item, so you probably want to be flat, but it's congestion anyway, so you don't want to take any of those entries. And then this news item hits, and it's crazy, and looks like we get a second entry short right here, but I'm not too crazy about that. But if you want to take this failure, perhaps you take that. Not the greatest setup, but it does confirm that trend line. So I just don't like how far away from the EMA this is. Anyway. So we get a break, leg down, first entry, second entry, really nice bar. Oh, actually the second entry occurs right here. So this is aggressive anyway because it looks like one move up to me. But yeah, now I'm seeing that that's third entry anyway. So we come up here, you get another second entry type entry, but again, it just looks like one leg. It doesn't look like we have a break of that channel. At least with the naked eye, yeah, it doesn't look like, yeah. So with both of those, I mean, this one looks like it does have a break because you would have to draw it like that. Yeah, well, actually, no, it doesn't look like it does have a break. It looks like it has an overshoot though. So, first entry. Really, we're just chopping around. I think prices were just trying to figure out what they were doing. These entries up here are both pretty tempting. This one's like a hidden second entry short right here, but it's above the EMA, and we didn't have the context of this range yet. And then it bounces here, but that's a higher low. But when it comes down here and then goes back up, then you know it's a range. So that's pretty tempting right there when it closes back inside the range. Ride it back to the EMA. I might have to mark that green. But it's just the first entry. And we made a higher high. You get this lower high here, but it's right into that midline and the EMA, so I don't think you want to take that. Then we get this spike in channel down, but that's not a good channel to be playing when it's all funky like that. I'm sure some people would argue that I just drew it incorrectly, but I mean, I don't think it's incorrect. I think there's a lot of validity to it. I mean, you can see right here. First entry. So there's a failure right here. And let's see, we had a break of this channel and a couple legs down, so you might think, hey, let's look for a reversal, but I'm not going to do that on a I mean, it's clearly a downtrend, so I'm not looking for longs. But we have this channel up, we get an overshoot, first entry failed second entry, but that's above the EMA, and that's a new high, so first entry failed second entry. Does that get you 4 ticks? It might get you 4 ticks. So that gets you enough for a scalp right there. But with the 3 bars overlapping, this is a doji, this is a doji, I think you got to sit it out. And this is a doji right here. This, I think you could maybe play this one instead, looking at this as a new high, first entry, failed second entry, because there's a lot more room in this channel. But that's pushing it. So anyway, we get a break of that, and you get a failed second entry short. I like the way this set up, and this is congestive too. So I marked this blue. Now I'm thinking I should probably mark it green, but because that, I mean, this is exactly what I just said for this one. It's 3 bars stacking up, STEMI, STEMI. But in real time, it had the look and feel of failure, and it looks like a second entry long. So we just formed this range, and this looks like a double bottom, first entry, second entry, but that's an inside bar. And I just don't think there's any way to enter this. This is a second entry, but that's a doji. This is a failure, but it looks congestive to me. And it's just not, doesn't really, you probably wouldn't draw your trend line like this. Maybe you would, because that looks like a mid-range, excuse me, a midline. But I think if you're really a good chart reader, I think you know what's going on here. You could probably take this. But if you see it's a breakout pullback to all that. Here you get a first entry, second entry. That's also a failure. So I think you can take this one because of the combination of that to test these lows. You can see it goes a little further, forms this range, and then we get a failed break higher. And that forms a spiking channel down here. And again, this is maybe this, some people probably would argue I didn't draw this correctly, but I mean, it fits, it works. Maybe you draw it to there. Yeah, that's probably it. So I viewed this as a spiking channel. Yeah, and then we get a second entry right here. But the signal bar is no good. Is that a lower high? And yeah, you don't get a lower high right here. That's matching high, I'm pretty sure. And then you get a failure right here. But it's all inside bars. So not a great setup. Then we're bouncing around in here. You get a failed break higher. This looks like a range to me. So you get this lower high. Maybe you take that. If you don't take that, maybe you take this failure, but we just bounced off that midline, so it's risky. And then you get like a hidden second entry short right here that's off the midline. Then we break lower, and this is a failure, but again, it's just, I mean, it looks like it's off it's probably off a trend line, so maybe you take that, but it's so far from the EMA. Then you get a second entry short, but that looks like one leg up. So when you get this lower high, I think you want to take that. Super bearish bars, both of those. Chopping around, congestion. Second entry, it's an inside bar though. You don't get a failure till down here. That's too congested. We get this nice leg down, slight overshoot, new low, reversal. And then we form this range, and that brings us into the end of the day. And I didn't even check this range to see if I liked anything. Oh yeah, I like that. But the problem with this, so I was going to mark this red, and it is, I mean, it looks like a second entry because you go higher there, lower, higher. I really like these entries, but I'm going to have to mark that green because technically it's a first entry. But that looks good to ride back to the EMA. And you can see that's where it bounced a little, and this turned out to be a midline, but that's where people started taking their profits. You can see that. So that's how I saw it today. I hope everyone has a great weekend. I'll be back next week.